Harley has her plasma gun and is about to go after Mr. Freeze, but will something stop her cold from putting him on ice? Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Crossin Streams. As always, I am your host, the real Gino Reynolds, and today we're going to be continuing our look at the Harley Quinn series on the DC Universe, this time Season 2, Episode 4, entitled Thawing Hearts. Harley has Firefly's plasma gun, and her crew are finally going to be able to get into Mr. Freeze's territory, and let's just say that to get in, she creates art. This, of course, uses up all the plasma gun, a tool that probably would have helped them later in the episode. But anyway, she creates quote-unquote art on the way in. It's pretty funny with what she does and the kind of detail, she does using the said plasma gun. As they're making their way in, they get a text from Ivy and Kite Man. It's the thing I didn't want to spoil at the end of the last episode. They announced their engagement via text message to everyone, and everyone's happy for them. As they fight their way into Mr. Freeze's lair, the whole crew discuss how they all think Ivy's wedding is going to go. Harley thinks about how she wants to hook up with everybody there because by bringing someone to the wedding, it means that it's serious. She says that she never wants to have a serious relationship again, because, of course, what happened with her and the Joker. You come to find out, though, that love is the overall theme of this episode. And I'm going to say it right now, this is probably one of my favorite episodes with the overall theme and how they handled it and everything. It's definitely one of the better episodes. And there's been a lot of really good episodes of this show. Mr. Freeze comes out to confront Harley and her team. And after a very short battle, he is able to freeze all of them and take them captive. Of course, Harley's not too happy anytime she gets frozen, given what happened to her earlier in the season. Back at the mall, Kite Man reveals to Ivy his nemesis, Condiment King, Condiment King sends him a sarcastic congrats to his engagement. It doesn't seem sarcastic, but this is his nemesis we're talking about. He also reveals that the venue he wants for the wedding is something he's wanted as the place that he gets married for a long time. It's a really silly reason, but he reveals this is what I've always wanted. So he's really nervous, and Ivy tries to calm him down. Back at Freeze's lair, Mr. Freeze the gang. You're going to hear the word freeze, and freeze a lot during this review. He frees the gang from their ice prison and reveals that he only created this lab to save his wife from a rare blood disease. And of course, this usually seems the main motivation to why Mr. Freeze does anything in like any adaptation of his character. He's been experimenting on rats, lots and lots of rats. That apparently this certain type of rat has like 98% of human DNA, and now he's determined to start human trials, even though none of his tests have been successful. Again, lots and lots of dead rats. But he reveals that he feels that it's this 2% of the difference in DNA is what's stopping his serums from curing this blood disease, that it's the fact that he's testing on animals and not testing on humans as to why it's not working. He chooses Harley for his test subject because, the rest of the crew is either have altered DNA or they're men. And he's like, look, you're female and you're just a regular human, so I'm using you as my test subject. Harley tries to fight back, but is mostly frozen again. He freezes everything but her head, and of course, this means she can still talk. Because before Mr. Freeze can test his newest serum on her, she convinces him that Ivy can possibly develop a cure for his wife's condition. Now, her plan was not to really contact Ivy and get her to develop a serum. her plan is to buy time. She lies about texting Ivy, and her plan is to buy time, get free, and take Freeze's wife hostage and make him give them his freeze gun, which she wants to freeze him like he froze her. Now, Freeze is nice enough to serve them lunch, and that's their plan. They're going to do this plan while they're eating lunch, but he freezes them to their chair, so they can't really do anything. As he's serving lunch, he presents Nora to the group, and she looks like she's scared out of her mind being frozen in this block of ice. And you notice also that there's a bit of ice exposed as what looks like a makeshift feeding tube for her. Now, Harley sees this, and she thinks that Freeze is lying about Nora being sick and has forced her, for some sick reason, him getting his jollies, she says, has forced her into this frozen captivity. So her new plan is to free the wife from her icy prison and kill Mr. Freeze. That's her new plan. Simple. We go back to Ivy and Kite Man, and they're getting ready for their possible wedding venue tour when the Condiment King shows up with his, we'll just say, fiance. It looks like someone he may have hired. Let's just leave it at that. He decides he wants the venue too, but of course you can tell he just wants the venue to spite Kite Man because Nemesis. Before going on his tour, the Condiment King squirts mustard on Kite Man's suit to make him look bad in front of the manager, which he kind of does. We go back to Freeze's lair, and as they're eating lunch, Mr. Freeze asks in creepy ways how the food is. As Dr. Psycho says, this is some Silence of the Lambs stuff going on here. He reveals that he can't eat certain foods because it would raise his body temperature and could possibly kill him. After being creeped out for a bit, though, Dr. Psycho's liking the food so much that he ends up gladly becoming Mr. Freeze's food-eating proxy. He's really enjoying his food. After Freeze poorly tells a story of how him and Nora met, him and Harley get into a bit of an argument about true love, and the only thing that stops the argument is that some more food is done in the oven, and he has to go get it. I believe it's like spinach puffs or something like that. After Freeze leaves the room for a bit, Clayface reveals inadvertently that he could free himself from the ice all along, because I'll just put it this way, he really wanted that mac and cheese. Harley tells him, get the freeze gun that Freeze had left in the room and go get it and free them. So he does that, and Harley frees her team, and after calling Freeze a liar about his wife's sickness, she unfreezes Nora, only to find out that she truly does love Freeze and is like, oh, the only reason I'm unfrozen is because you found a cure and now we can be together forever. And we find out she really is dying. Her nose starts bleeding. Freeze says that if Ivy can't save her, he's going to blow the place up and kill everybody. So Harley decides to finally text Ivy. After the Condiment King impresses the venue's manager, Ivy and Kite Man go on their tour. But during the tour, which isn't going very well, Ivy gets the text and tells Kite Man, I gotta go, I gotta save Harley. And of course, after she leaves, Kite Man definitely does not do very well on the tour. As Ivy's working on a cure, Harley tells her about how Freeze came up with the whole plan for the Injustice League and the whole plan to kill her. And Freeze says, now hold on, it was my idea to freeze you so the others wouldn't kill you. I was saving your life because they love the idea of ridiculing this woman. There are a bunch of dudes that wanted to freeze this woman, and they would have loved the idea of making fun of her. So he was trying to save her life. And King Shark's like, now don't you feel bad? You accused the most woke supervillain of trying to kill you. Don't you feel terrible? So that was kind of funny. Ivy then reveals that she actually might have an idea for a cure, but she needs something from her greenhouse. So she texts Kite Man, saving him from his terrible tour, to go to her greenhouse and get a specific plant. He's told that if he leaves, he'll lose the venue, which he's like, will it be, you mean, will this, he says it'll make my decision easy. He's like, I hope it's a good thing because you'll see how I truly love Ivy. And he goes, no, it's going to be a bad choice. He goes, you know what though? It's an easy choice. I love Ivy and I'll do anything for her. And he possibly has given up his dream wedding venue. Kite Man returns with the plant in time for Ivy to make a serum. She reveals that she has to use the plant in a blood transfusion. The serum will change whoever takes its blood type to Nora's, because her blood type is as rare as the disease that's in it. And that way the person given the transfusion can give her healthy blood. That being said, while it will save Nora, it's going to kill whoever does it. Dr. Psycho's mad because he says, why'd you tell him about the death part? Now he's going to make one of us do it. But Freeze says, this is something I need to do. I love her. I'm going to make this my sacrifice. I'm going to sacrifice my life for hers. And of course, this shows Harley the true meaning of love. And just the way she reacts after this happens is, I get it now. Harley and the gang, after Freeze has given up his life and Nora is fine, they try to show Nora their sympathy in losing Freeze, but man, she gets angry and is saying, get out of here. You need to leave. She's not happy. And I'm wondering if this could lead to a possible revenge plot later, maybe. Back at the mall, Ivy and Kite Man talk about possibly losing the venue. And Kite Man reveals, you know what? It doesn't really matter where we get married, but the fact that I get to marry you, I love you so much. But as he's saying that, he gets a phone call from the venue, and he's like, oh, it's just like the end of a rom-com. I'm going to get the venue. But it turns out it's the Condiment King on the phone calling to gloat that he got it instead. Kite Man's like, put the manager on the line, but the manager's behind him. He goes, no, Condiment King got it. So after some very, very bad condiment puns, Ivy reveals that, you know what, I think the Condiment King is my nemesis now too. Okay, this was a really good episode. I love how they were showing, I mean, yes, if you follow comics, Mr. Freeze's motivations, and they didn't really change anything. They made his motivation, he loves his wife and he'll do anything for her. He ends up sacrificing himself for her. So I love that they used that to show Harley that true love does exist, that there could be somebody great out there for her. She doesn't need to think that the Joker was her only true love, and of course he treated her like crap and almost got her killed many times, as how she gave up her career and she changed her appearance and all that for him and everything. So she learned a lesson during this one, but again, I think maybe they're setting up something where Nora is going to become maybe the new Mr. Freeze, Mrs. Freeze, I guess. So I'm not sure where they're going to go with that, but I really like that this episode focused on, one of my favorite parts of the series is the Kite Man Ivy love story. I love that they are going with that. They're hopefully nothing bad happens to that. Of course, we thought they were going to kill Ivy off in the last episode of the first season, but I thought they were ending it there, but I'm glad they're continuing that story. I love that they used Mr. Freeze. Like, not all the villains are really bad. Yes, he got into organized crime, but he's trying to save his wife. That's usually his motivation. So it's not just Harley killing every villain, which again, I love how she took out the Penguin. And I like that she's ruining the Riddler's life, or at least she thought she was. But now she actually learned a lesson from one of the other supervillains, one that in turn actually saved her life at the beginning of the new Gotham storyline. So anyway, I really dug this episode a lot, and this series continues to surprise me. And yeah, this episode's really strong. I have a feeling though, with the fact that they brought this season out so fast, that the DC universe is going bye-bye, and this may go to HBO Max. But yeah, I'm I'm a big fan of this episode. I'm a big fan of this series. This one was definitely a good one. That's going to be all for this edition of Crossin Streams. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Gino YouTube channel. Like this video. You have anything to say about the Harley Quinn series, Season 2, Episode 4, entitled Thawing Hearts, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Until next time, I'm your host, the Real Gino, Gino Reynolds. See you later, puddins.